Hi, I'm Paul Maddox, and today I'm going to be walking you through the basic features of FXpansion's Maul. Maul is a multi-band distortion plugin with some very good quality decam modelled distortion models and quite a few others as well. So I'll walk you through the basics. It has three modes, multi, serial and single. I'm going to start off in single, which basically just uses one band. So it's just using this mid band to process the full frequency range. The other two modes are multi, where it uses all three to process different bands, low, mid and high, and serial, where it just becomes three sequential processors, where it just adds one distortion on top of another on top of another. So I'll start off in single mode, and you can hear with this bypassed, I've just got a little synth bass going. And turn bypass off, and I'll just run through a few of the different distortion settings on here so you can hear what they're like. So as you can hear, there's quite a lot of models there, ranging from sort of fairly conventional distortion and overdrive through to some slightly more crazy things further down the list. So that's in single mode, quite simple, works as you'd expect. But it's when you put it into multi-mode that this plugin really comes into its own. So if we drop it into multi now, obviously now we can have a different distortion and different settings for each of the three bands. So let's start off with a bit of a valve or a tube on the middle. Yeah, that gives it a nice nasal quality, and go to the bottom. You can hear here you've got a separate filter in each band. So for doing the bottom end like that, it's really useful to be able to use the low pass to sort of really focus it on just the low frequencies. And I've put this ASIM on the top band here, which gives it a real sort of scratchy harshness. So that's a pretty rough sounding distortion, but another thing that this plugin does really, really well is the modulation system. So there's two LFOs, an envelope follower and a sample and hold generator. So I'm just going to show you how to use the LFO to modulate a parameter. So all you do is click here to make sure LFO 1 is selected. And then on any control, just drag on the area outside the knob to set the range. So we've got LFO 1 on there, and let's just drag here, and then we've got a little bit of modulation going. as you can hear, you can get some nice movement with that, and obviously you can play around with all the LFO parameters as well to shape the sound how you want. Obviously, with the different distortion models, you get different things. So that actually sounds pretty cool. Now, that example on the bass was obviously an example of how you can use Maul to really sort of mash things up quite heavily. But it also works to do sort of more subtle overdrive and warming of things. So here we've got a drum loop playing. Let's have this on bypass first. Just a nice techno loop. And what I've done here is set this diff model up and crank the drive up really high, but then we're just going to mix a little bit of the signal in. So if we just have a listen to what it sounds like on its own, fully wet. You can hear it's sort of really crushed up. I've used the high pass filter here to isolate the high end. And then rather than have anything significant of that, just going to mix in a little bit on the dry wet control here, and you'll hear that it just works like an aural exciter and just brings a little bit of shine to the top end. So you can hear that just around 10% or so. Just gives it a nice bit of extra crispness on the tops, which it's not going too full on with the distortion, but it's still very useful. And you can do similar things with different models here. So let's go back to one of the decam models here. Let's go with one of the diode models and take the filters off. Again, same thing, like really overdriven, but if you just mix a little bit of it in, it'll sort of rough the drums up a little bit without causing too much damage. So yeah, that's two of the ways that I've been using this plugin myself. As you can see from all the options in there, there's a huge amount of possibilities beyond what I've shown you here. So yeah, that is FXpansion Maul, which is available from pluginboutique.com.